Hi everybody, it's Carla. I'm back with another edition of my Vidtober. I got up this morning and it was 40 degrees here in Alabama outside, and so it's definitely furnace weather, sweater weather, and time to eat a hot bowl of soup and some homemade bread. So I've got this cooking away on my little stove top, and I will show you what I'm making. And it is a very simple minestrone. I've never used this recipe, but I tried to find one that had most of what I had on hand. I didn't have everything, but I will walk you through what I did have and what's in this actual pot. And it smells delicious, and it's very pretty while it's cooking. So it is 1 onion diced, 6 carrots diced. I only had 5, so I used 5 in mine. 3 potatoes diced. I didn't have any fresh potatoes, but I did have canned sliced potatoes, so I drained off 1 can, and then I diced those potatoes up. 6 celery stalks diced. Now I wish I'd have had celery, but I didn't have any. I used it up last week and haven't replaced it. So I actually used a tablespoon of celery seed, and it has a delicious celery smell to it. And I've done that before in recipes where I needed celery and I didn't have any. Not really in like sandwiches or something like that, but in things that cook, and it has a very good flavor of celery in it. 4 quarts of soup stock. I used chicken stock that I made with chicken bouillon, little packets of granules, and just with my 4 quarts of water, so I made my own there. And then, but I used only 2 because I didn't want it super salty and I didn't want it very strong, so it's just a very mild chicken stock there. It says 1/2 cup of pork, and I didn't have any kind of pork product on hand except for a little canned ham, a 1.5 pound that we get at Big Lots, and it comes out of Canada. And I keep those on hand in the pantry for recipes that I'm using for, like an omelet or a soup or a stew or something like that. And so I used about 1/3 of that little canned ham, and then I wrapped the rest and put it in the freezer to use at another time. And so I diced that up. Then it says 3 tomatoes. I didn't have any fresh tomatoes, but I did have diced tomatoes, so I used 2 cans of diced tomatoes. It says sage and basil leaves. I had basil, but I didn't have sage, so I opted just to use 2 teaspoons of Italian seasoning instead. Parsley, it didn't say fresh or dry, but I had dry parsley, so I used about a tablespoon of that. Garlic, it was talking about fresh, but I had some jarred garlic that was already diced up in the fridge, and so I used 2 teaspoons of that. And I know 1 teaspoon equals 1 clove of garlic, but we like garlic, and it wasn't very strong when you get it out of the fridge like that. 1 cup of cabbage chopped. I had half of a small head of cabbage left over wrapped up, and I chopped that up. Assorted vegetables diced. I didn't have any. It talks about zucchini or asparagus, fresh green peas. I didn't have any of that, but I did have 1 can left of mixed vegetables, and that's what I throw into soup, and so I drained those off and put that in here. And I also added some leftover, maybe about 1/2 cup of leftover black olives. They were whole olives, but I just sliced them up into tiny thin slices. And then I only added about 1/4 teaspoon of salt because the ham is salty. And then I added about 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper. Now about 15 minutes before this is done cooking, or when I'm ready to serve it, I'll throw in some broken spaghetti, which I've already broken up and put in the fridge. And then when I serve it, I'll sprinkle Parmesan cheese across the top. And this one says, if you read the whole instructions, it talks about how long to cook it. It's about a 30-minute recipe altogether. After you get it put together, you cook it for about 30 minutes. But I'm just going to let it simmer on my stove until my husband gets home from work today, and that'll be our supper tonight. So here it is again, just bubbling away, and I'll turn it and show you the cover of this cookbook. In case you spotted, I found mine at the thrift store, but it is called Simple Italian Cookery. And it's got wonderful little recipes in there. Like I said, I haven't tried this particular one, but I have tried several out of that book, and I like it a lot. Now I'm going to cover you up. You won't see anything except my hand, but I'm going to walk across my kitchen, which I haven't cleaned up yet, because I'm kind of a messy cook when I cook. And I'm making homemade bread. Now I'm ill prepared for this. I did have yeast, I did have the ingredients, but I don't really have loaf pans. And on one of the YouTubers that I watch, it's Eyes to Jesus, EYES, the number 2 and JESUS. She has a video on there of where she's making 5 loaves of bread in one day. She's making 1 white, 2 whole wheat, and 2 banana breads. And she uses a big KitchenAid mixer, stand mixer. I don't have any kind of stand mixer. I only have the handy dandy little hand mixer. But this one you don't have to need. You just mix it in your large bowl, and then you turn it into a buttered pan, loaf pan. She used glass loaf pans, but I use these old little metal skillets that I've taken the handles off. That's what I use when I have to pop something in the oven. And then you just let it rise. And I recycle stuff, so this was like what not paper plates, but some styrofoam containers were in. And I just sprayed the top of that and cover my bread dough so I can look through it and see it rise. I didn't have any saran wrap on hand. Like I said, it was ill prepared, and I just wanted to try my hand at making this bread. I've never done this particular recipe before, but it is 1.5 cups of warm water. It's just out of the tap, warm water, or just a little bit warmer than room temperature. 1 package of yeast, or a teaspoon of yeast if you have bulk yeast. 1 tablespoon of olive oil she used, but I didn't have olive oil. I had vegetable oil or canola, not sure. 1/2 teaspoon of salt. She used sea salt. I didn't have sea salt. I just used iodized salt. 1 tablespoon of honey. I had honey. And then 3 to 3.5 cups of white flour. Mine came out to just barely over 3 cups white flour, because you want to mix it, mix all of your wet ingredients together, then add your, the salt in there, and again mix it with your mixer, and then you start adding the flour, and a little bit at a time incorporate it in, and just mix it as it blends, and then it's going to get sticky, and that's what you want it to get to, a sticky dough. And then when you get it to the sticky dough, you pour a little more of your oil around the top of it and then into the bowl, and just kind of fold it around itself in the bowl till all the sides are covered. And then you just put it in your pan and cover it and let it rise for 1.5 to 2 hours. I'm going on an hour and a half right now. I've just passed an hour, and this is how tall it's gotten. So I think shortly it will have doubled in bulk, and then I can bake it off. And then you bake it at 375 for 30 to 40 minutes. Start checking at 30 because you don't want it to get overcooked. But 30 to 40 minutes at 375. And her bread looked delicious. I mean, she made it in a glass loaf pan, and then she showed it sliced at the end. It looked really good. This is going to be more of a rounded loaf, and one you can just kind of rip a piece off and have alongside your soup. So that's hopefully what's going to happen for supper tonight. So yeah, let me get back over to the soup and just show you it cooking away on my stove. And I just love, it's very comforting to watch soup cook. When I was a kid, my mom would make vegetable beef soup, and I loved that. And I've always loved soup. When I go to a Chinese restaurant, I mix all their soups together. If they have egg drop, if they have wonton, whatever they have, I mix it together. I'll throw in some of the green onions. I'll eat it with a lot of the little strips, wonton strips, I guess, that are kind of their equivalent of crackers. I just love soup. And we eat a lot of soup in the fall and the winter time, and I just love to have one simmering away on the stove. So I hope you like my little adventure here and out of Simply Italian Cookery. And like I said, it does smell really good, and I wanted to show you it while it was cooking away. And I hope you like it, and I appreciate everyone watching, and I always appreciate anyone that takes time to watch my video, and especially if they'll leave a comment. I just appreciate, and I know everyone's time is so valuable and it's taken up with so many things. If you just take the time to watch my little 10-minute video and leave me a comment, that is wonderful. And I try to answer as many comments as I possibly can. I try to hit most of them. So thank you so much for watching, everyone. I hope you're having a great day. Stay warm where you are. And if it's a cold day where you're at, perfect soup and bread weather. Okay, talk to you later, and thanks for watching. Bye.